Many historians believe that the tennis court oath was the true start of the French Revolution. It is when the people that represent the common folk of France came together and said, "We are France." But before we get to that, we must start at the Estates General. King Louis needed money. His financial crisis forced the French monarch to reluctantly convene the Estates General in order to levy a new land tax that would hopefully solve his monetary woes. It had been 175 years since the last meeting of this deliberative body that included representatives of 3 estates. The first comprised of the clergy, the second comprised of the nobility, and the third comprised of the middle and lower classes.
Among the direct causes of the French Revolution were a massive financial crisis caused by France's enormous debt, the lack of food and the outrageous prices, the desire to imitate the American Revolution, the government's lavish spending, and an archaic system of taxation which brought little money to the national dollars by placing the greatest tax burden upon the Third Estate, while virtually ignoring the First Estate and the Second Estate. The first son of a noble family would go into the Second Estate, second son into the First Estate. Successive attempts at reforming the system had proven fruitless in the face of opposition from the First and Second Estates.
On August 8, 1788, the king agreed to convene the Estates General in May of 1789. Each of the 3 estates presented its particular grievances to the crown. Innumerable grievances came pouring in from other provinces, and it became clear that sweeping political and social reforms, far exceeding the object of its meeting, were expected from the Estates General. The aspirations of the bourgeoisie were expressed by Abbé Sayet in a widely circulated pamphlet that implied that the Third Estate and the nation were virtually identical. The question soon arose whether the states would meet separately and vote by order, or meet jointly and vote by head.
The prospect of an Estates General highlighted the conflict of interest between the Second and Third Estates. The First Estate and the Second Estate together represented only 3% of France's national population. The Third Estate theoretically representing the other 97% of the French population, in practice represented an increasing proportion of the country's wealth. But the other 2 estates, which historically had often voted with each other, could still outvote it. This class nonetheless saw the calling of the Estates General as a chance to gain power.
According to the model of 1614, the Estates General would consist of equal representatives from each estate. The Third Estate demanded double representation, which they already had in provincial assemblies. This became a topic for pamphleteers. The most notable pamphlet, "What is the Third Estate?" coming from the pen of Abbé Sayet. The royal decree of 1788 in December announced that the Estates General would amount to at least 1,000 deputies, and granted double representation for the Third Estate.
The First and Second Estates, clergy and nobility, respectively, were too closely related in many matters. Both were linked intrinsically to the royalty and shared many similar privileges. As a result, their votes often went the same way, automatically neutralizing any effort by the Third Estate. When the Estates General convened in Versailles on May 5, 1789, amidst general festivities, many in the Third Estate viewed the double representation as a revolution already peacefully accomplished. However, with the etiquette of 1614 strictly enforced, the clergy and nobility in their full regalia, and the physical locations of the deputies from the 3 estates dictated by the protocol, an immediate impression emerged that less had, in fact, been achieved. On the morning of June 20th, the deputies were shocked to discover that the doors to their chamber were locked and guarded by soldiers. Immediately fearing the worst and anxious that a royal coup was imminent, the deputies congregated in a nearby indoor tennis court, where they took a solemn collective oath never to separate and to meet wherever circumstances demand, until the constitution of the kingdom is established and affirmed on solid foundations. The tennis court oath was an assertion that the sovereignty of the people did not reside with the king, but in the people themselves and their representatives. It was the first assertion of revolutionary authority by the Third Estate, and it unified virtually all its members to common action. Its success can be seen by the fact that a scant one week later, Louis XVI called for a meeting of the Estates General for the purpose of writing a constitution.
The Assembly quickly decrees the following. The National Assembly, considering it has been called to establish the Constitution of the realm, to bring about the regeneration of public order, and to maintain the true principles of monarchy, nothing may prevent it from continuing its deliberations in any place it is forced to establish itself. And finally, the National Assembly exists wherever its members are gathered. All members of this assembly immediately take an oath never to separate, and to reassemble whenever the circumstances require, until the Constitution of the realm is established and fixed upon solid foundations. And that having been sworn, All members and each one individually confirm this unwavering resolution with his signatures. Let us swear to God and our country that we will not disperse until we have established a sound constitution, as instructed by those who nominate.